All right, this is a video about the Larin engine stand. I filmed it months ago. I'm just now editing and adding clip here and there and all that. So I'm not a YouTuber. It's rough edits. It jumps around. I'm just giving you a warning to begin with. But if you're building one of those Larin engine run stands, you might find some stuff in my video that could help you out. All right, so I ordered through Summit one of these Larin, Larin, Larin engine run stand. Saw a lot of different YouTube videos about them, good and bad. One thing they said, a lot of times the box is all torn up, but probably no damage to the stuff. My box showed up real nice. Here's the top half, bottom half, and I'll slowly update you as I assemble it. Okay, so they say the instructions are really unclear and you got to follow them closely and all that. So I kind of followed along and said assemble it like this. Well then, here, I'll show you here. So I'm on this step, right? So I think it's completed. I haven't tightened anything down. I'm going slowly. I figured I'd tighten it all down later because of something like this. So then I started to go to this step and I'm like, okay, what's this note? So maybe my bad. I don't know, because I'm working on this and I should have read this note. But this note says to make sure that B and that B and that C and this C are together. So like here, I need B and B. So already backing up a little step. Okay, so I'm tinkering with this thing, getting it a little more ready, working on the wiring. I took the ignition switch out and used my multimeter to check because this wasn't really making sense, and this is why. They had start and ignition on the instructions mixed up. So I used the multimeter to figure that out for continuity, and yeah, we're good now. Just be aware of that if you buy one of these. Okay. So there it is. I guess I didn't film while I was doing it. It's not that hard. These bands here, the way they wrap around the tank and squeeze together when you put the bolt in and the nut on the backside, that's a little tough. Third person might help, but I got it. Comes with these little things. This is the two of them screwed together, but they go on garden hose for water in, water out. And this would go, I guess, your radiator hose to your water pump and whatever. Sending units, water and oil. And yeah, it's a little goofy. You only use 3. Let me get closer on the casters. No, all 4 wheels are like this. You only use 3 of the bolts. 2 here and 1 here. When this one went in, that's when the whole thing really tightened it up. And then it has these through bolts all the way through the whole thing. Alright, so according to the instructions, you're supposed to have the back of the engine here, front of the engine on that end. I swapped this one and this one so the engine faces forward. That was one custom thing. Instead of using their little brackets for the water and using garden hose and all that, I mounted a radiator. Put an electric fan on it. And I got my radiator hoses. The only problem I had with that is how I mounted it. Radiator's lower than the thermostat. A little hard to fill, that's why I have that extra. I had this laying around when it's like a radiator cap in the middle. When the it's all hooked up, it's up here at the highest point. Makes it slow to fill, but it worked. But yeah, if mount the radiator higher, you can see I moved the gas tank over to fit the radiator in here. I got my never start down there. I put in fuse block and fuel pump, electric fuel pump with cheap filter. I got a little cheapy regulator and a fuel pressure gauge. I did the battery cutoff switch. The tack sucked. It didn't even work right. So I did a different tack. I suspected I was having temperature gauge problems with the gauge they give you, so I changed that out, and I'm not having any problem. Their oil pressure gauge working fine. Of course, ignition, it's right where it goes. And this is stainless steel, very hard to drill through. You got to get the right kind of drill bits. But I have my ignition, so that way I can crank it without it firing, so I can build oil pressure if I want. So then you have ignition, and that's the fuel pump and the electric fan. So that's how I rigged mine up. And it worked well. You'll see in the next video I had a 350 on here running. I broke it in and it worked well. And it worked well for me. I broke in a 350 on this thing. It worked well, especially for the money you pay for it. It had to add a few things, do a little customizing, and yeah, I was happy with it. I'm going to do another engine. Take care. Oh, one other thing I'll say about it. The caster wheels they give you are junk. Even the two straight ones, they kind of roll okay, but with the weight of the engine on them, they just crush. I mostly would put a floor jack under it, especially on the front, depending on which end you put them on, I guess. But the casters, the ones that spin, they don't spin when there's weight on it. The rubber on the little wheels too soft. So I kept putting a floor jack under it, jack it up, and drag it around that way. Could add better wheels. I just didn't bother.